Woo! Oh yeah, woo, 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 woo. What's up, brothers, sisters, truthers, 10-4 hatters, and woo seekers, Wookiees, time travelers, ghost hunters, and black goo creepers. You know what time it is, folks. It's Freaky Friday, February 17th, 2017. And as always, we're sending out the none but love vibe to the Wookie Cave at truefrequencyradio.com/chat and to everyone else listening out there on the FM frequencies of 90.7 in Denver, Colorado, 97.3 in Eugene, Oregon, all around the world on this thing we call the Nets. And also, welcome to all the iHeart Radio listeners. Oh, yes, on people. And first-time listeners catching the show 1,000 years from now. How does one woo, you might ask? Kick on back and we will show you how. Welcome to the show. Lizard aliens, interdimensional beings, or AI looking for data, sky watchers, rain dancers, chupacabras, voodooers, it doesn't matter what's up. Whoever, whatever, wherever you are, man. Kick on back. You're listening to Freaky Friday on TFR, Truth Frequency Radio, in stockpile. With a cachet of woo, it's a usual suspect crew of Mr. Johnny. You won't like me when I'm angry. The Hulk whistles. Kev, the woo master of disaster himself. Baker, Scotty, always up for the woo party. Lopez, and I'm Kenneth, Mouth of the South. Webb, a.k.a. change the channel if you don't like what he got to say. And man, oh man, gentlemen, are we ready for some freaky?
We are now that you're back, Kenneth. You know, it doesn't seem the same until we've got that intro. It's great to hear you back, Ken, and I'm raring to go tonight. I was on listening to Tony and Douglas Woodward there. I've already had brain meltage, and I'm only 2 hours into this 5-hour marathon tonight. So I can only imagine what you guys are going to do to me with some of the information that you have dug up over the past week. But it's not just me here. Scotty, Whistles, how you doing, guys?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Monitoring this situation in California with the Oroville Dam. Yeah, it's not looking very good.
Definitely not. We'll be getting into that in a minute. But Johnny Whistles, you're back from another dimension, dude. Can you hear us, Johnny?
I can, Kev. Thanks very much.
John, it's a big day for us today, right?
Oh, wow. Kev, this is our third birthday. KBS is actually 3 years old today. This is the day it all started, February the 17th.
Truth Frequency Radio has been tolerating us two mad Scotsmen for 3 years, Johnny. You kidding me? Unbelievable, dude. Right, before we get into some uber woo concerning this dam in California, all your Wookiees are waiting for you, Johnny. Head on over to the chat cave, man.
I'm in there just now, Kev. Actually filling up quite nicely. And we have 50 in the chat just now, so amazing, absolutely amazing numbers. Thanks very much.
Only 50?
Only 50. 50's what a start. That's fantastic, Kev. 51 just keeps going up. Anyway, starting with our two in red, we've got the moderators. We've got Lucky and Penelope. We've got Bison, Astriana, Ozzy Anzac, Barb Ryan, Carl Allen, Carlos Salorzano. I'll get that right one day. We've got Carol Motzinger, Carrie Swartz McDowell. We've got Charles Calvo, Chris A. Freeman, Chris Smith, Darkwater. We've got Daryl Adams. We've got Daryl, Donita Stepke Thompson. Good, do wanna know. We've got the lovely Gail Woods, George Hens. Great to see you, brother. We've got Gergs, Grant Harvey, Hod God, Human Commodity, iPaddy Mac. Love that name. We've got Jason Simcoe. We've got Jeff Baines, John Teeter, Carla Atkins, New Air. Welcome to the show. We've got Kieran Thomas, Kenneth Rockman, Kenneth Knott, Mr. Kenneth Webb, who is back with us tonight. Fantastic to see him here. We've got Libby Smith Sutherland, Mary Ellen Bernard, who just posts some amazing pictures during this chat. We've got Matt Walker, Michael Paul McVeigh, Michelle Smith. We've got Reeling for Today, Rebecca Jacobs Gray, Redempty, Mr. Robert Dixon. We've got Sam Ramirez, Scotty Lopez, Sean Barraclough, Star the Oracle, Mr. Stephen Gray, the Mega Sharer. We've got the Megaphone Man, Tori C. We've got Uncommon, I think that is. Last but not least, number 53. It's Weedsec.
Absolutely fantastic. We've got lots of new people in the chat room. If you want to experience the chat, head to truthfrequencyradio.com/chat. So then, guys, there's photographs going up in the chat room right now, and it's of Oroville Dam in California. Now, Scott, Ken, I want to come to you guys first of all, because I've been watching this unfolding. I've not been researching it at any depth whatsoever. But, you know, when I see something like this, I have to kind of tie it to all the reports that the crumbling infrastructure in America. Now, this is before we get to the woo that's on top of this tonight. But this disaster so far, guys, with this Oroville Dam, and I'll come to you first, Scotty. I mean, what's going on here, dude? Because this seems like a really, really serious problem.
Yeah, this is not good. This is not good at all. And the thing is that they've known about this for, I think, at least 12 years, that there have been issues with this dam that needed to be fixed. And they've kicked the can down the road and they haven't done anything about it. So, yeah. And you know, I find it kind of ironic that, you know, California was talking about seceding from the union because of the outcome of the election and stuff, and now all of a sudden they want, you know, federal assistance for this dam, you know. So you know, a lot of this has to do with the way they've run their state there. Instead of investing in infrastructure and fixing their infrastructure, they've blown all the money on, you know, welfare, you know, socialist welfare policies and things like that. And, you know, they're supposed to be the, you know, the quote unquote sixth largest economy in the world, you know, just the state of California itself. So you would think that they could handle issues like this, but yeah, it's a very bad situation. And, it's not the actual dam itself that's failing. It's the emergency spillway that is failing. And what's happening is the water is going over the spillway in excessive amounts, and it's eroding the bottom of the spillway. And if it keeps doing that, what it'll eventually do is it'll eat out the bottom of the spillway, and then the entire reservoir, you know, this entire lake, will be, it'll undercut the spillway, and then it'll unleash the entire lake, you know, downstream, which is not good. And yeah, they have emergency evacuations going on right now, and it's raining heavily right now. I mean, I'm looking at the radar, but they have this live stream going, and I think what you're seeing on the live stream is footage from yesterday, because it's sunny on the live stream. But when you look at the radar, it's not sunny. So either the helicopter is going and refueling, you know, before they can get another live stream up, or the conditions are so bad right now that helicopters can't fly over there. You know, it certainly
looks horrendous. And Ken, I'll come to you, man, for your thoughts on this as well, because when I look at this, I mean, it's unbelievable. And then you've got places like Sacramento, it's downstream from this. I mean, what's happening here, Ken, when you see this going on?
It is. It's crazy. Well, you know, it was so dry out there. I mean, how many years has it been a drought out in that part of California? I mean, it's been a long time, this drought, and then they have all of this rain. It's not a drought any longer. And then you have this thing going on. And I'm like with you, Scotty. I always hate that when people do, well, you know, secede, talk about seceding, okay? But that's fine and dandy. But then to turn out with your hand out. You're sitting there with your hand out wanting some federal funding for this. It's like, man, you should have been fixing this a long time ago. You know, just because you had a decade or whatever, how long it was of just all the drought that was, and the dryness that was going on, doesn't mean you have to, you shouldn't keep the upkeeps of a lot of these things, the spillovers and all of these kinds of things. And they don't. If they can cut the corner and be like, well, it's dry now, so we don't have to do anything this year, we can give ourselves a bonus. That's what these turds probably did. They probably took all that money that they could have used for it, you know, to do anything and fix it and have it up to code and standards like it should be today, you know, to be able to combat something like this or handle something like this. No, they went out, they were sitting in the hot tub, drinking the champagne and all this kind of stuff, living high on the hog.
Well, Ken, you can imagine what this drought, because that drought, as you say, went on for years and years. Now, if that ground, it's like it turns to stone after a certain amount of years. But for that to be good enough, do you know what I mean, to let water actually seep into the ground, you can imagine the amount of damage that's done. It probably won't soak into the ground for probably another year or so.
It's like, that's why I lived up at Lake Berryessa off the grid for a year, and it been going up there and everything, off and on. And when it just drizzled up there, you weren't coming off of that mountain. I mean, it take you an hour and a half to come off of it because the roads are all dirt, and that stuff would just get like clay. I mean, just clay. And I mean, you could just, if you try to drive your truck across it, you could sit there and push the back end of a truck with your finger and push the back end over. That's how it just got really crazy. And anything that it did pick up was more like clay. The ground there is so hard. I did a garden, and I didn't have a plow or anything, so I'm out there hand digging this earth that's like this. And I'm telling you, it was crazy. I mean, it was really hard. And like you said, I can't imagine, like, after all of this time, that was just when it would drizzle. It would drizzle, and it was like this. So I can't even imagine the damage and everything, and that this thing is going to cause probably.
And I also need to point out that on top of all of this rain that's happening, you're also getting massive amounts of snow melt coming off of the Sierra Mountains. And because right now they're getting above average warm temperatures in California, that's all ahead of this storm system. So on top of the rain, you're getting this massive amount of snow melt from the mountains that's also feeding into this reservoir, or, this lake, and that's compounding the situation too on top of the rain.
So you've got people in this area told to evacuate, people fearing for their homes, their livelihood, stuff like that. Another storm on the way. So what do they do to try and take the pressure and the fear away from it? Oh, they go and call it Storm Lucifer. You couldn't make this stuff up, because today and tomorrow, this area, this dam, is going to be pounded by what they're calling Storm Lucifer. Now, they're saying Lucifer. It was just naturally the next name on the list. Yeah, sure. And it says areas Ventura North and westward starting as early as Thursday. So this rain, Scott, that you're seeing just now and things, this is coming from this Storm Lucifer. And I believe there's 3 storms coming in. Now, I've got to ask, because we know we live in an age with man-made weather, are we looking at any kind of geoengineering, kind of hyping this kind of disaster up at all?
That's a good question. And, if any of our listeners in California have noticed any chemtrails or anything before this system moved in, it'd be really interesting to know, put it in the chat and let us know, because, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a possibility.
Even aside from them creating this, isn't it sick, right? Because we watched in China, Beijing, as they cleared the clouds for the opening ceremony, that when storm fronts are coming into an area like this that has been flooded, here's an opportunity where they could say, look, we've got positive geoengineering where we can steer these storms away. But we know they don't do that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it doesn't even have to be us doing the weather manipulation now. Now that we know that China's involved in it, and, Russia probably is involved in it, and all these other countries are involved in it, who's to say that this weather manipulation that China's doing over their country, that's going to have an effect downstream of the jet stream. So they could be doing something in their country and causing, unintended consequences for the rest of the world. It could affect a storm system here. The global wind patterns, they circle the globe. So whatever you do is going to have an effect. I mean, let's just use the analogy of the dam. If something happens, you're going to feel it downstream. So it's the same with weather. If you do something downstream of the jet stream, you're going to have an effect. You're going to affect everything downstream. So we got all these reports that China was making it rain up in their northern regions because they've had a drought, and they've been spraying the air and doing all these things. So, who's to say that them doing that, isn't having an effect on us? And whatever we're doing over our own country, who's to say that's not having an effect, say, over Europe or over the UK? I mean, everybody's going to feel the effects of something like that. The jet stream doesn't adhere by border boundaries or anything like that. It's not going to say, oh, well, I'm just going to stay in the United States and all that. If you do something, it's going to have an effect.
Johnny, we get told all the time, the erratic jet stream, it's going this way, it's going that way. But you've got family over in California, John, and they're not going to be affected by anything like this, are they?
I don't think so, Kev. John has actually moved to Goleta, and it's right next to the coast. I don't think he is near this dam, Kev. But the last time something happened in California, it was the methane gas pipe that was leaking, and a few of the people I know that were there were being affected by that. But this dam, I don't think there's any danger to John where he is.
But the thing with this dam, though, is that this river, it supplies much of the drinking water to Southern California. So that's another interesting fact.
Ooh, not so good. And Ken, we've got Storm Lucifer barreling down on the area, and you've thrown something else into the mix here as well. But I mean, geoengineering, Ken, we were discussing that while you nipped away there. We were asking, did they cause it? Could they prevent it? Your thoughts on that, man?
Whoa, hold up. Hurricane what?
Storm Lucifer.
Yeah, they named the storm Storm Lucifer.
No, they didn't.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. These fools just got no shame. Seriously, I would think, okay, Storm Lucifer got to be some kind of man-made thing. They didn't seeded something. They didn't seeded some of that black goo in the clouds or something on this one. Come on, and they're gonna name it Storm Lucifer. I mean, that's just, oh my goodness gracious. Well, here we go again, gentlemen. Here we go again with some of the just freaky. Okay, now my brain's melted on just that alone. Okay, so that shows you how long I've been away.
I mean, people are already scared living in that area. They're having to evacuate their home. I mean, to alleviate the pressure, you just call the next storm Lucifer? I don't think so, right?
Right, exactly. And they do that on purpose. It's the fear factor thing or something. It's got to be. It's got to be something there, because why are they gonna name it that? I mean, what do you think of Storm Lucifer? Oh, my goodness, now that's scary.
There's been 2 small earthquakes that were recorded near Lake Oroville in the last 24 hours, and that appears to be the result of the fast lake level changes and the subsequent release and the pressure from the water. Now, when you watch the actual live stream that myself and Scott and the guys here have been talking about, it's the pressure of this water that really, really blows me away, if you pardon the pun, because this is really, really forceful, isn't it? And if this gets out of there, Scott, if this gets worse, I mean, I don't know how bad this could become.
Oh, this will be bad if the water erodes that area underneath the emergency spillway, and you get a breach underneath, that whole reservoir is going to go, and it's going to go downstream. And I mean, that is not good, and that's why they've evacuated all those people, at least the sheriff in that area and, the authorities in that area are, taking the precautions, because, yeah, that's going to be a very bad thing if that erodes out and you get an uncontrolled flow. Yeah, not good at all. And like I said, it's not the actual dam itself that's failing. It's this emergency spillway that's on the side. The water has never reached a level where it has spilled over this emergency spillway at such a massive scale like this. So yeah, it's a bad situation.
Scott, maybe they know what's going to actually transpire from the whole thing here. When we talk about this storm being called Lucifer, Now, if that adds any pressure at all to this dam and it becomes an absolute catastrophe, then you would want to give it a name that people would remember. And
Yeah,
I'm
it does.
sure
It
that
does
they
has
would
a catchy
remember.
name.
Yeah.
It's really, yeah, it is. It's odd. It just sounds like something that that they would be able to run headlines with, in the future, that, the Great Storm Lucifer disaster or something, something along that lines. It just, yeah, it's so weird. And just
Yeah, and you see it.
the whole
Sorry,
fact
Dave.
that they name the storm Lucifer, that they have this list of names, and whose idea was, let's just go ahead and throw the name Lucifer on the list.
And along with everything else, they got TV show Lucifer, right? They got a TV program named Lucifer. They got that going telescope, the Lucifer telescope. Then we having Storm Lucifer all over the place, man. It's just strange. Why would you name something that? I mean, it's not it's not like a common given name that people give to their children. I mean, how many kids or people out there do you know his name's actually Lucifer? I mean, really? I've never in my 47 years met anybody with the name of that. So why in the world would you name a storm Lucifer? Well, there's only one person that I know of, right? That or character, whatever you want to call them, that has been named this. So I don't understand what just everything from the TV programs to the telescopes to daggone nash storms. I mean, what's it all about? I mean, if it was,
Well,
Storm
they're trying
Jack.
to normalize it. They're trying
Right,
to normalize it and put it in the consciousness of people to, hear that word and see that all the time and not really think about it, that it's just a normal thing. Oh, you watch that Lucifer show? Yeah. Storm Lucifer is moving. Oh, okay, yeah.
Maybe it'll be Blood Rain. Mm.
Oh, huh. Oh, that would just, yeah. Oh man, that put people off the chain with something like that. And in the chat room, Scottish Gaz here saying Satan is not Lucifer. Repeat, Satan is not Lucifer. Okay, well that's fine, but it's just it's just the principle of the thing. I think that there's some meaning behind it. There has to be. It ain't no draw the hat, a bunch of names. If you put a bunch, like we got the helmet or something, drawing topics out here, and they have to come out. What are we going to call this storm? Let's go alphabetically down the list of names or something. No. How many? I mean, seriously, in the chat room out there, people, please contact me. Do you know anybody named Lucifer? Ever met anybody? Went to school with them? Went to college? I mean, I've never seen it, so I don't see it as this common name. I mean, really.
And the thing is that they've been naming these storms like weird names, like after like Greek gods and just like weird. Just a lot of these storm names have been like really kind of weird, bizarre names. But yeah, this is by far the weirdest. I mean, I thought it was a joke at first when Kev sent that to me in the chat, calling it Storm Lucifer. And then
that's what I did. I was
crap, they officially named it that. That is
as soon as you guys said that, I even forget what the rest of the question was. I got stuck on that. I was like, what? No.
I want people to Google it because it sounds ridiculous, right? But it's not us making this up. And we've got it over here in the UK now as well. Johnny will back me up on this. We've got named storms. And John, these aren't even like hurricanes or anything like that. It's just bad wind and bad rain and they name it.
Yeah, exactly. We never, ever have a storm like anything like the US, Kev. Maybe back in the days when, remember, the uprooted trees and things all over England. Okay, that might have been big, but never, ever like that we have in America. Their storms are what should actually get a name. Ours, as you say, Kev, it's just a bad weather day.
And we had Storm Angus earlier on, I think it was last year, Johnny, didn't we? Maybe earlier this year. But it certainly wasn't anything like Lucifer. And, with the kind of tragedy that is about to unfold or is unfolding around this dam, you would think when they sat down and assigned the name, okay, Lucifer's next on the list, maybe we should change it. Lawrence, Larry, I don't know. Just saying, guys.
It's just like Chris said in the chat room. Storm Hitler. Ain't nobody calling it Storm. I mean, imagine if they did Storm Hitler. Oh my goodness, it's kind of the same thing. Storm Charles Manson. I mean, something like that. I mean, it's kind of the same stuff. If when we really look at it, I mean, they might as well storm Hitler. Oh my goodness, you better look out because that was going to be bad.
Monsoon Mao is about to rip through Indonesia. Get that? Do it. But listen, we'll be back on the other side. What a start to Freaky Friday. This is what happens when Ken Webb is back with the Woo Crew. And don't forget, because the excitement doesn't stop here. Right after Freaky Friday, Chris and Cherie Geo, the positive form of geoengineering, they will take you beyond the veil. No reason to go anywhere. Truth Frequency Radio, truthfrequencyradio.com. So go, put the kettle on, get another beer, have a smoke, whatever you do, and we'll be back after these short messages. If the music ever kicks in, there it is.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
Welcome back, and as Fred Flintstone would say, yabba dabba woo, you're tuned in to Freaky Friday right here on the Truth Frequency Radio Network. And myself, Ken Webb, Scotty Lopez, and Johnny Whistles, we make up the Woo Crew tonight. Before the break, we were getting into these maniacs that name the storms. Why even name them in the first place? And to explain that, I'll go to Scotty, because Scott, you made a really couple of great points during the break, and as always, said off air, but I'll let you share that with the listeners before we decide where we're moving on to next.
Yeah, well, this whole thing of naming storm systems is pretty new. I mean, they've started doing it within the past 10 years or so. I mean, they've always named hurricanes, since the 50s, which makes a lot more sense. But this whole trend of naming like winter storms, they started naming winter storms. That was a weird thing I noticed. It was the Weather Channel that started doing it. It's not like the National Weather Service or anything that's naming these. It's the media that's naming these storms. And, they do it to sensationalize everything. It's a lot easier to get ratings and to hype everything up when you can put a name on something, right? So, say you got, Winter Storm Zeus, it makes for a catchy headline. It gets them ratings, and, it's all about money to them. And, I noticed that just within the past couple of years, they started doing it there in the UK as well, right? Now they start naming storm systems that move into your area. They put a name on them now. They used to never do anything like that, but this is all part of the whole agenda with media, getting everybody to tune into them, to hype everybody up, to whip up the fear, to sensationalize everything. And, if you remember, storm systems used to just be named, like, not even have a name, but were remembered just by their severity, right? Like, if you had your parents or your grandparents going, oh, I remember the great snowstorm of 78 or something like that, that's how storm systems used to be remembered. Now they name every single one moving in. That way they can just hype it up on the media and get ratings. And it's pretty disgusting, actually.